Families of Indigenous people who've been killed in interactions with police are calling on Ottawa to launch a public inquiry. There's been a recent series of police-involved deaths across the country involving a number of different police forces, including the RCMP. Stephanie Skandera is in with us this morning, and she's here with more on what this group is calling for. They actually spoke yesterday on Parliament Hill, Steph, and what did they say?
They did. A whole group gathered there. What they say is that they need accountability and justice for these deaths, and that is just too hard to get. So about 24 people gathered on Parliament Hill yesterday, including the families of 8 people who died. There were 9 Indigenous people who were killed in interactions with police in August and September. And this is from right across the country. So the deaths include, you can see some of their faces here, a 30-year-old mother in Winnipeg, a 57-year-old man in Windsor, a 34-year-old man in New Brunswick, and a 15-year-old boy in Alberta. So a lot of different cases right across the country. Now, the family members say they really want concrete actions to address police brutality, and they want support and resources for the people who are affected. One of the people who was there, her name is Laura Holland. Her son Jared was shot and killed by RCMP in BC in 2021. Now, the BC Police Watchdog had asked the BC Prosecution Service to consider charges, but it decided not to. So here is more of what Laura Holland had to say.
This is ridiculous. This should be like a state of emergency. This is a state of emergency for us. Yes. It's a state of emergency for Indigenous people. We're being killed on the streets, in our homes, and everywhere. And no one is saying anything. No one cares. We want you to care. Even if you don't care, at least do something, say something. Speak up, stand with us.
You can hear how strongly she feels they're really calling this a state of emergency for Indigenous people. Another person who was there and spoke is Martha Martin. She is the mother, you might remember, of Chantel Moore, who was shot in a police wellness check in 2020 in New Brunswick. Now, 6 months later, her other son, Mike, took his own life while in custody at a correctional centre in BC, and she says change is needed.
You know, imagine you're in that crisis and you're reaching out, or you're concerned for your safety and somebody else, the people you call to come and protect you are the ones that are taking your lives. You know, in 2024, why are our policemen not wearing cameras, every one of them, body cams? It's accountability for them and it's safety for us as well.
So these families say any potential inquiry must be Indigenous-led, and it must include data that's collected from across the country. Has there been any government response to this? I mean, is a public inquiry even a possibility, Steph? Well, so far, this group says they haven't heard anything from the federal ministers or from opposition parties. They say that no one has agreed to meet with them yet. The Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations has said these recent deaths are troubling. He said there is a responsibility to advance Indigenous-led solutions. What that will mean, we'll have to see. MPs did hold an emergency debate about 6 of these deaths last month. And this is not the first call for this. This also came up at the Assembly of First Nations last week.